the news hour, coming to you live from the studios of HITTZAFRIK Radio and TV. Stay tuned. Download the tuning app onto your mobile phone today and catch up on all the latest news from HITTZAFRIK Radio. Broadcasting live on modern Ghana and our website www.hitzafrikradio.org. HITTZAFRIK Radio News Hour live. The news hour, coming to you live from the studios of HITTZAFRIK Radio and TV. Stay tuned. Download.
Moving on to other stories. My Help, Your Help Foundation shares Easter with Osman Krom Camp Prison. My Help, Your Help Foundation donated to the Osman Krom Camp Prison at Aguna Swedro on Easter Saturday to celebrate the Easter with inmates. Part of the goodies My Help, Your Help Foundation donated to the Osman Krom Camp Prison at Aguna Swedro on Easter Saturday to celebrate the inmates. It was all joy when My Help Your Help Foundation, a non-governmental organization, on Easter Saturday visited the Osman Krom Camp Prison at Aguna Swedro in the Central Region to celebrate the Easter with inmates. Buses carrying executives and members of the foundation arrived at the camp at about 10 a.m., followed by a truck loaded with assorted products to be donated to the camp. The members and their executives, dressed in their branded polo shirts of different colors, were in high spirits. Alighting from the buses, they all gathered to thank God for a successful journey from Accra to the camp. And moving on to other stories, MTTD urges drivers' vehicles owners to procure insurance. The MCE of New Durban South, Mr. Isaac Apau Jesse, cutting the tea for the inauguration of the new NIC office in Koforidua, The MCE of New Jerusalem, of New Japan South, Mr. Isaac Apau-Jesse, cutting the tape for the inauguration of the new NIC office in Kufurijia. The Eastern Regional Commander of the Motor Transport and Traffic Department, MTTD, of the Ghana Police Service, Chief Superintendent Stephen Ehiatafu, has urged drivers and vehicle owners to procure insurance for their vehicles to handle accidents on the road and protect their property. He said that it is illegal for drivers to ply the road without insurance. Hence, the police in the region have braced up to take on vehicle and drivers involved in this irregularity. Dr. Ofori explained that the commission aimed of fulfilling the Insurance Act 2006, Act 724, centered on the protection of policyholders, the effective supervision of insurance, and carrying out public education on insurance has been motivated in the establishment of network branches all over the country, including the Eastern region. In other stories, I never demanded return of Ibrahim's bauxite concession to jail, with Akufo-Addo, Mahama says. Former President John Mahama has refuted reports that he is demanding President Akufo-Addo returns his brother's bauxite concession before he gets along with him. In a statement Thursday signed by Felix Kwachi Ofosu, he explained that the 2020 NDC flag bearer has never made such a demand. Mr. Kwachi Ofosu said the reports are nothing but a figment of the imagination of those making the claims. He said in the aftermath of the election petition, John Mahama had made it clear that although he disagrees with the judgment, he was nonetheless bound by the verdict. The former Deputy Information Minister said John Mahama has remained a statesman and remained true to his commitment to multi-party democracy. There are reports that one of the reasons why Mr. Mahama does not appear to gel with President Akufo-Addo and his administration is because of the bauxite concession that the NPP government took from Ibrahim Mahama in 2017. In other stories, Kaswa murder, Attorney General calls for investigation, wants ages of suspects determined immediately. The Attorney General has written to the Director General of the Police CID, calling for expeditious investigations into the alleged killing of a 10-year-old boy by two teenagers at Lamte Mills in Kaswa. Godfrey Abu-Adami also wants the police to, as a matter of urgency, determine the actual age of the two accused persons and ensure they follow the law on evidence in relation to confession. Suspects Felix Nyako and Nicholas Kiki, believed to be 16 and 18 years respectively, told the police after their arrest that a spiritualist demanded a human being as well as 5,000 Ghana cedis in exchange for riches. In their bid to meet their demand, the duo admitted to the police that they killed Ishmael Mensah Abdallah, a family friend of the first accused, Felix. Per the police charge sheet, they lured him from his home to a nearby uncompleted building, while the second accused, Kiki, hit the back of his neck with a wooden handle of a pickaxe, and Felix hitting him with a cement blow. However, the ages of the two boys are currently in contention, as it will essentially determine the extent of punishment meted out if they indeed found guilty for the crime. In the letter directed to the CID, the Attorney General emphasized that the age is key because if they turn out to be minors, their prosecution must end within 6 months, failing which they will have to be discharged. Meanwhile, the fetish priestess alleged to be the center of the gruesome killing was arrested on Thursday at Amanasi near Suhum in the Eastern region. And this is where we end our local stories. Stay tuned as we do other African stories.
The News Hour, coming to you live from the studios of HITTZAFRIK Radio and TV. Stay tuned. Download the tuning app onto your mobile phone today.
You're still logged on to HITTZAFRIK Radio and TV. Now let's do some other African countries. West Africa faces worsening food crisis, experts. Nearly 20 million people face a food crisis in West Africa and the Sahel region as the vast area is torn by conflict and the coronavirus pandemic, experts warned Thursday. The situation could worsen between June and August, as many as 27 million people needing immediate food aid, or nearly 1 in 10 people in 14 countries, the expert said. In Nigeria alone, 12.8 million people could face a food crisis or worse this summer, according to the Food Crisis Prevention Network, which includes representatives of government, NGO, lenders, and UN agencies. Nigeria has faced conflicts with jihadists in the northeast, armed gangs in the northwest, as well as dealing with communal strife in central regions, separatist tensions in the southeast, and piracy in the nearby Gulf of Guinea. The tri-border region of Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali has also been plagued by Islamic extremist violence against civilians for years. In addition to conflict, the displacement of 5.6 million people, weak economies, and the pandemic have worsened food shortages in the region, according to the network. Nearly 3 million people could face a food crisis in Burkina Faso in the coming months, 2.3 million in Niger, 1.8 million each in Chad and Sierra Leone, 1.3 million in Mali, and nearly 1 million in Liberia. The network was created to analyze the food situation in the region and help governments and donors find responses to the problem. But several officials said humanitarian aid was not the only answer. It is crucial for us to change the way we manage crisis, said Niger's former Prime Minister Ibrahim Mayaki, honorary president of the Sahel and West African Club. It is essential we change the way we deal with crisis. It means investing in the long term to address the root causes of famine and malnutrition, Mayaki said. Moving on to another country is DR Congo. Dozens detained in Benin during anti-UN protests. Some 60 people arrested in the eastern city as protesters accused the UN peacekeepers of failing. Police in the eastern Congolese city of Benin have detained dozens of people and fired live rounds to disperse protesters demanding the departure of the United Nations keeping mission for its failure to stop the bloodshed in the region, according to local authorities and witnesses. Hundreds of young people have been protesting for days in several cities in Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC, angry that the UN mission known as the MONUSCO has not prevented a wave of civilian killings by armed groups. Suspected ADF rebels kill villagers in eastern DRC. Army, conflict and COVID driving record hunger in DR Congo, warns UN. DRC, more than a dozen killed in suspected ADF attacks. We only demand two things: for MONUSCO to leave and for the Congolese government to take its responsibility so that we can have peace, said Clovis Motuva, a member of youth activist group LUCHA. Some 330 people have been killed so far in this year in the violence, according to the Kivu Security Tracker, which maps unrest in the region. MONUSCO took over from an earlier peacekeeping mission in 2010. It has more than 12,000 troops deployed, most in the vast country's mineral-rich east, where killings more than doubled last year. Moving on to other stories, Djibouti, Guella expected to win fifth presidential term in vote. Ismail Omar Guella has held power in the Horn of Africa nation for 22 years. Djibouti's President Ismail Omar Guelleh is expected to extend his more than 20-year rule when the country heads to the polls on Friday. Guelleh, 73, is facing political newcomer Zakaria Ismail Farah, his only rival, after traditional opposition parties decided to boycott the election. Coronavirus surges in Djibouti as population ignores measures. A businessman specialized in the importation of cleaning products, Farah, 56, is seen by observers as unlikely to pose a significant challenge to the man who has held power in the Horn of Africa nation for 22 years. Guelleh, flanked by his wife and government officials, wrapped up his campaign on Wednesday with a colorful final rally in a stadium packed with cheering supporters and traditional dancers. As I see you today in large numbers, I am sure that you will also come in large numbers to the polling stations, Guelleh said before crowds wearing T-shirts emblazoned with his initials, IOG. Djibouti is a largely desert country, strategically situated, one of the world's busiest trade routes and at the crossroads between Africa and the Arabian Peninsula, a short distance from war-torn Yemen. Under Guelleh, the country has exploited this geographical advantage, investing heavily in port and logistics infrastructure. He gave hope to the youth and built ports for this country. Thanks to him, we are no longer unemployed, said 23-year-old Halima Saad, one of the estimated 25,000 who attended Wednesday's rally. He complained that he was not offered security services for his rally. The challenger, who has styled himself as a flag bearer of poor Djiboutians, appeared his wristband and mouth taped last month at one of his rallies to protest unequal treatment. Djibouti's GDP per capita is about $3,500, higher than much of sub-Saharan Africa, but about 20% of the population lives in extreme poverty and 26% are unemployed, according to the World Bank. Moving on to another country is Kenya. Kenyan court temporarily blocks closure of refugee camps. The court ruling originated from a petition filed by a local politician challenging a move to shut down the camps. Kenya's High Court has temporarily blocked the closure of 2 refugee camps hosting more than 400,000 people, according to media reports and activists. On March 24th, Kenyan Interior Minister Fred Matiang'i announced the government's intention to shut the Dadaab and Kakuma camps, leaving the United Nations Refugee Agency (UNHCR) 2 weeks to present a plan to do so. The ministry called this an ultimatum and said there was no room for further negotiations. Kenya court quashes government order to close Dadaab. Dadaab was established 3 decades ago and was once the world's largest refugee camp, which at its peak hosted more than 500,000 people fleeing violence and drought in Somalia. Speaking to Al Jazeera, residents of both camps have urged the Kenyan government to reverse its decision. It's very terrifying because we do not know the next step, like where we are going to from here. David Amos, an Ethiopian who has lived in both Kakuma and Dadaab since 2005, said the closure order. And this is where we end our African stories. Stay tuned as we do the world stories.
The News Hour, coming to you live from the studios of HITTZAFRIK Radio and TV. Stay tuned.
You're still logged on to HITTZAFRIK Radio and TV. Now let's do some world news. In South Korea says tanker and captain detained in Iran released. A handout photo made available by the Tasnim news agency shows Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps (IRGC) jet boat seizing a South Korean flag tanker named Hakung Chemi in Persian Gulf on the 4th of January 2021. A South Korean flagged tanker and its captain detained in Iran in January have been released, the foreign ministry in Seoul says. Iran seized the Hankook Chemi near the strategic Strait of Hormuz, accusing it of violating pollution rules. All the 20 crew members were set free in February, apart from the captain. The incident happened amid tensions over Iranian foods frozen in South Korean banks because of US sanctions. Iran said the cases were not linked, but the release of the ship and the captain comes amid reports Iran and Tehran have been made progress in unlocking the funds, which total $7 billion, £5 billion. US-Iran relations, a brief history. The captain and sailors are in good health, and it's been confirmed that the ship and its cargoes had no problems, the ministry said. According to Reuters news agency, the ship departed Iran after completing administrative procedures. The operator of the tanker, which was carrying chemicals, denied the charge. The 20 crew included 11 Myanmar nationals, 5 South Koreans, 2 Vietnamese, and 2 Indonesians. Moving on to another story, Philip Adams, South Carolina shooting suspect named as former NFL player. Sheriff officials guard the home where the shooting occurred. Authorities in South Carolina have identified the man suspected of shooting and killing 5 people as former NFL player Philip Adams. Dr. Robert Leslie, 70, his wife, Barbara Leslie, 69, grandchildren Ada Leslie, 9, and Noah Leslie, 5, and worker James Lewis, 38, were killed. The family were found in their home in Rock Hill, South Carolina, 30 miles, 48 kilometers from Charlotte, North Carolina. The attack came as President Joe Biden announced new gun control measures. Officials said the murders were committed on Wednesday evening by Mr. Adams, 32, who then killed himself after a standoff with police. Police said Mr. Adams' parents lived near the doctor's home, and he shot himself in a bedroom. Thereafter, police attempt to get him to leave the house voluntarily failed. There is nothing right now that makes sense to any of us, York County, Sheriff Kevin Tolson told reporters on Thursday. Earlier on Thursday, the spokesperson for the Sheriff's office, Trent Faris, said that Dr. Leslie was my doctor growing up. Dr. Leslie has been one of those people that everybody knows, he said, describing the doctor as a staple in Rock Hill for years. A person who spoke to the Associated Press on condition of anonymity said that Dr. Leslie had treated Mr. Adams. And this is where we end our world news. Stay tuned as we do the entertainment news.
The News Hour, coming to you live from the studios of HITTZAFRIK Radio and TV. Stay tuned. Download the tune app on.
You're still logged on to HITTZAFRIK Radio and TV. Now let's do some entertainment news. Help your wives get sexy instead of having sexy side chicks, says Efia Odo. Ghanaian socialite Efia Odo isn't married yet, but she has an advice that may save many collapsing marriages. According to Efia Odo, married men should channel the energy they invest in sexy side chicks into their wives to look good for them. Some men will marry and have sexy side chicks. Why don't you just help your wife to get her sexy back? She revealed in the tweet on Thursday, April 8th. She said, instead of going for sexy side chicks, married men can help their wives to look sexy by taking them to the gym if they are overweight, buy them sexy clothes, follow them to the hair salon, and motivate them. Some men will marry and have sexy side chicks. Why don't you just help your wife to get a sexy back? Go to the gym, with her. If you think she's put on weight, buy her sexy clothes, take her to her hair done, motivate her, and help boost her self-esteem again. Ask if you are other one. Don't waste your energy, sir. My husband, my future husband will hear. I will look young till I die. I just sent a screenshot of this post to my boyfriend, and he is laughing, but he does not know what is coming. This look won't go waste, Jack, a Twitter user said. Still, we can't eat one food for a whole lifetime. Variety is life. Withstanding what you just said, a male user disagreed with her. Another said, some women immediately you tell her she is gaining weight, pine, asamaba, she will fight you to the tooth. If our women don't want us to tell them the truth about themselves. Tell her she is gaining weight and so has to go for a workout. Boom, trouble come. Another added user. Moving on to other stories, you can be jailed for 5 years if you fail to submit your films for preview, NFA warns. The National Film Authority has served notice of how it intends to enforce the law and its power to preview and classify audiovisual content before aired on TV. This is coming amidst calling during the last few days demanding the regulatory action of TV content after it emerged that 2 teenage boys allegedly killed a 10-year-old boy for money rituals in Kaswa. Authority announcing its intention to enforce the Development and Classification of Film Act, which in Section 27 of the law makes it an offense for any person to exhibit audiovisual content without submitting it for preview and classification. Moving on to our last story for entertainment, I will win VGMA dancehall artist again. We are voting 100,000 Ghana cedis. Reigning VGMA's Brigade Dancehall Artist of the Year says he is winning the same category again this year. I don't think my award is missing, Raskuku tells Pulse BH. In this year's award scheme, the Yebeshe singer has been nominated alongside Episode, Samini, Kafum, and Lauruso, but Raskuku says he is beating his competitors in the category. With Crystal Kwame Ayi on 3FM, Raskuku emphasized that his song, Jidie track, even gives him an upper hand among the others because it is a good song. I pray I win because this is about voting and it is about the work too. Raskuku is winning it because good music is good music. It's also about votes and we are voting, he said. He also disclosed that we are voting 100,000 Ghana cedis. Tell the KPMG people that they should set their machine. The vote that will be coming from Raskuku might crash their machine. Raskuku beat competition from J. DeRoby, AK Songstress, Episode, Jupiter, and Samini last year to win the award. And this is where time permits us in bringing you today's stories. Stay tuned as we do a recap of our headlines.
The News Hour, coming to you live from the studios of HITTZAFRIK Radio and TV. Stay tuned.
You're still logged on to HITTZAFRIK Radio and TV. Now let's do a recap of today's stories. Be mindful of juvenile acts in handling teenage murder. MTTD urges drivers, vehicle owners to procure insurance. West African faces worsening food crisis. I will win VGMA dancehall artist again. And other stories I brought your way this morning. Have a blessed morning. My name is Abuna Ahunie, and do enjoy the rest of our programs.